All right, we don't want you to have a meltdown Monday. Maybe screaming can help balance things out in your life and relieve some of that stress. Leigh Richardson is joining us from the Brain Performance Center. Leigh, it's always good to have you here. We're going to talk about the Scream Hotline in a moment, but I want you to address Spooky Boo, a podcaster Spooky Boo, who we showed before break. She's up in the middle of the night sleepwalking. We find some humor in it, but that can be dangerous, right? Her brain isn't shutting off when she goes to sleep.
Absolutely, and the only time that brain, those little glial cells can come out and clean up that mess, that toxic waste that we make all day is when you're asleep. So if you're sleepwalking, you're almost doing double harm. Your brain's not getting the rest, and who knows where you could end up. You can end out on the streets.
Well, she does in this scene. She ends up walking out into the snow, and her husband has to go after her. So we may follow her journey here. I hope she tries to get back on track and get a good night's sleep. We have talked about the stress of the pandemic. There is an added layer of stress that some people may not even be cognizant of. Tell me about the Scream Hotline and the value of just letting it out with a scream.
Well, I think 2020 has given all of us something to scream about. And I think we're all frustrated. And a teacher created the hotline as a way, and he had done other projects for emotional expression. And we're screaming on the inside. It's best to let it out. I talk with my clients daily about journaling. And journaling is a lot of work. And I can't seem to get everybody to do it. But, there's almost some fun. There's something fun about calling a number and just screaming into an empty box.
Well, we're hearing it. People are finding all sorts of different ways to scream. So what's the science behind elevating your voice or screaming in this way? Is there actually a scientific correlation in the brain? Does it change something?
Certainly some people have a real sensitivity to sound, and that correlates in the brain, but I can't say that the screaming. I think that the emotional expression, the nice feeling that you get when you let it out, that it must have something to do with the reward system in the brain for sure.
Yeah, and we've also seen those rage rooms where people can go in and they can just sort of take it out on objects, TVs, windows, etc. Again, that's a way to kind of expel some energy. But are there other things like exercise? We've heard about that also triggers a certain brain response. Are there other things we're just not doing that would be easy enough to do?
Well, you mentioned exercise, and exercise releases endorphins. Endorphins make you feel good. Taking a moment and just staying present and being mindful and grateful, that makes you feel good. Recognizing what you have to be thankful for every day, and we all have something to be thankful for.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because it's about taking account of what we have, not what we don't have, which I know sounds cliche, and we've said it for years, but in a year when you can measure the losses that we've experienced, I think it's important to be mindful of that. One final question. The Brain Performance Center is offering this 4-week course, and it's an opportunity for people to sort of hit the reset button or learn how to cope better with change. We're going to tell people how they can sign up for that, but give me some sense of the foundation of this. What's the premise behind it, and what's the hope at the end of that 4 weeks?
Well, most people hate change. It's because they can't control it. So the hope is there's stress associated with change, but change is never going to go away. Mm-hmm. The world we live in is constantly changing. So the purpose is to kind of help people identify what their barriers are to change, what they're afraid of. Fear, we all have fear. And once you recognize what you're afraid of, and you can put in place some strategies to help you move past that, because it's a transition to go through change.
Right.
And, change is going from something old to something new.
And I was going to say, it doesn't necessarily mean something good to something bad, because you can have a change for the better and find yourself fearful of it for some reason, or anxious that you might fail at it. So it's not just about when bad things happen or when bad change comes around, correct?
Absolutely, because you get a new job, and maybe it's the job that you've been hoping for in 2020, but you get it, and now you're overwhelmed with it, and it's going to be working differently. You're not going in the office, and when you thought you would do that job, you would be going into an office. So change is just dealing with everyday life.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the best.
Yeah. Leigh, thank you so much. It's always nice to have you part of our show and to help us kind of keep pace with change in our lives. And we want to let you know you can reach out to Leigh on Twitter and on Instagram. And Leigh has offered to you, our viewers, a 25% discount on their 4-week performance coaching program on how to navigate change and help transition into 2021. Just call 214-329-9017. That's 214-329-9017. Use the code Morning After. Say you saw it
Very
here
cool.
and get 25% off.
Oh, I love that, Ron. That was generous of Leigh, and what a great interview.